Hello everybody and welcome back to OMB Reviews. I am the critic who is a cynic, hope you're doing well, and today I'm actually going to be doing a movie review from a film from 1985 called The Breakfast Club. Now, I had seen clips of this film throughout my entire life, and I think that there may have even been a point where I actually watched through it all, but I honestly couldn't remember actually sitting down to watch every single scene, being able to take it all in without distraction and all that kind of stuff, until last night. So literally the first time I'd ever fully watched this John Hughes classic was last night. Was able to watch it with the wife, was able to watch it with Freya as little baby Thor was resting, and all I can say is that I'm sad it's taken me this long to be able to finally watch it all the way through, because if there's anything that we can always say about specifically John Hughes films, is that he really seems to be able to capture the teenage persona very well. Every single character in this specific film all fits within these different social circles, right? The very typical, almost stereotypical social circles, right? You've got the jock, you've got the rich kid, you've got the stoner, you've got the kid who's supposed to be bright and smart at everything and is getting overpressured by it, and then of course you've got the oddball who everyone thinks is crazy but is honestly dealing with things going on at home. And what I love specifically about this movie is how it's not just about these five different characters and their five different unique backgrounds, but how through the midst of the movie they're able to realize that even though they are unique, even though they are distinct, they're also very much the same, that they all deal with the same issues, that they all deal with the same problems, and it especially deals with the relationships between teenage high school kids and their parents, and how their parents can influence them. There's some great lines in the film that even deal with that question about, are we really just going to become our parents, right? Or is there going to be something more than what we can be? And in their interactions with others, where they're finding these again, diametrically opposed personalities, they're essentially forced to ask that question. They start to realize, wow, I am actually more like my parent than not, but at the same time, I'm my own individual person. Am I expected to fall in line with every single thing that my parents say and become just like them, or is there another path? Right? Am I just supposed to be the jock because that's what's expected of me? Am I just supposed to be the stoner or the smart kid or the rich kid just because that's expected of me? Or am I just a complicated creature and a complicated human being that can be a wide variety of things? And again, this film is done so very well. Of course, it all stems from not only John Hughes with his great direction and great screenplay, but also you've got a great cast here. Emilio Estevez, Paul Gleason, who plays the hilariously hardcore principal, Richard Vernon, Anthony Michael Hall, who every time I see him in this movie and I look at him as an adult, I think of them almost as two different people, because I just know them in these different capacities. I always forget that Anthony Michael Hall was a child actor at one point, and that he was featured in, I believe, was featured in at least one other John Hughes movie. You've got John Kapelos, who plays Carl Reed, who is the janitor in the movie. Judd Nelson, of course, playing the infamous John Bender, probably one of the most unique and most compelling of all the characters. One that I think almost is a little bit too intense. If I had to have any criticisms of the movie, it would just be his character, because even though we understand that he obviously comes from a very difficult home, it definitely are indications of an abusive relationship, especially with his father. I do definitely feel like his character goes over the top a little bit too often, one too many times, and it's one where you understand it to an extent, but then you also get to the point where you feel like it's almost being not acted, but overwritten in that capacity, if I could say so. But anyway, Judd Nelson still does a great job with that role, and of course, it leads to one of the most iconic moments in cinematic history with the fist up at the very end, and all of them meeting after this one day, going their separate ways, forever changed by their meetings with these different people. Again, all of these different backgrounds, all of these different personalities coming together for them to realize that, yes, they are unique. Yes, they do fit into these social categories, but that, hey, they are also one in the same. And of course, last one mentioned there is Molly Ringwald, who of course featured in movies like 16 Candles and other films actually by John Hughes that I have actually not seen. I've not seen a whole lot of the John Hughes film library, The Breakfast Club, of course, being his most well-known and probably his most well-loved. And so here I'm using the movie database, the TMDB, just to give us a little bit of a difference from the typical IMDb, other movie-related and movie rating categories, because, at the end of the day, those kind of, at the end of the day, they tick me off. But anyway, this was made for a $1 million budget and ended up making $51.5 million in its revenue. And of course, if you adjust that for inflation, it was an incredibly successful movie, and I think that it's had even more success post-release because it's a cult film in certain aspects, right? There's people that just love this film, quote this film, still to this day connect with the characters that are in the movie, right? I think everyone still can connect to at least one, if not more, if not all of these separate characters. But yeah, you have terrific acting from these young group of actors, right? They're obviously all probably in their teens or early 20s when they were doing this role, and they just do an excellent job in that overall process. The writing is spot on. The cinematography is great. The editing is pretty good too. Again, if there's any weak parts, maybe it might be the editing and the pacing, the way that certain scenes fall in line with each other, right? They're supposed to be there for 8 hours, and sometimes it does feel like they're going through a series of these are events going over time. I think the one thing that may have helped the film is if they had kind of a clear recurring shot going over to like the clock, right? To say like, okay, here's how long the time has been, here's what's been going on. And I'm sure some people say, well, technically they have that if you were paying attention. And yeah, but I just mean having the same shot over and over again as kind of a point of reference may have helped move along the plot just a little bit more, or at the very least make the perception of the plot moving on along just a little bit more. But regardless of that, classic film from 1985, finally boning up on my 1980s knowledge, as I know one of the chosen of Valhalla, one of my major supporters and an overall great human being, Rosetta Allen, always gets at me for having terrible 80s knowledge. I finally now can say I've seen all of Breakfast Club, and I will give this film an A-. Very, very strong movie. You might be saying, why an A-? But as I said, I think it's because especially of the character of John Bender. There's just some moments that are a little bit too intense. Again, it does come from a place of sense. It's not that the characterizations make no sense as far as his character being one who is subject of an abuse, but it does still sometimes, I think, go a little too far in certain instances that in the end are more unrealistic and don't really, I think, serve the purpose of the character. They could have toned down a couple of those extreme, not tone down the character, but tone down a couple of those just extreme moments overall. Like there's that one shot, and again, this is just my own, I guess, prudishness coming in. There's that one shot where he's looking up the girl's skirt, and instead of it just being like, oh, he's looking at her, they actually have to show it. And I was like, that just really isn't a necessary element of the filmmaking process. Like, to me, it's just like, really? Did you have to have that shot? Probably not. And again, that might be just my prudishness going in there overall. And also just the conversations that they have with each other. There's one case specifically where he really kind of goes after, and again, I know that's kind of the part of who he is that he's all about trying to get the truth out of people. He's all about trying to be intense with everybody. But there's a couple of times when I feel like even as someone watching the movie, the character seems to go just a little bit too far. But they have a lot of fun. You can tell they have a lot of fun. My wife was telling me an anecdote that apparently there's the one scene, like the pretty much like the pinnacle of the film, the climax of the movie, when they finally all realize just how connected they are with each other and all of the similarities that they have, that they're not just these distinct categories that society might make them out to be, but that they're their own individual persons, is when they're all sitting in the circle kind of sharing stories from their life, finding out after the fact, as you know, my wife had told me, that was a lot of improv, that John Hughes was saying, hey, I want you guys to think about your characters and to think about what it is that might be defining these characters. And I think they did a great job in being able to present it in a very authentic way. You believe all the characters, you believe who they are playing and the characters they are playing, and we can only say nothing but great things about that. So again, solid A- from this film. great cast, great acting, great direction, great writing, and again, just with a couple of those moments, overall, keep it from getting all the way up to the A range, but there's no doubt that this is a classic that everyone I would recommend should indeed go see. But anyway, what are your thoughts about The Breakfast Club? Is it one of your all-time favorite films? It is definitely a film I feel like I will be returning to. I do love the score to the film as well. Again, don't you forget about me. Just, again, very classic, and that final shot, especially with the fist in the air, really, I think, says a lot, and there's a lot of just small moments in the movie, even when he's putting on the ring at the very end of the film, when Judd Nelson's character is putting on the ring given to him by Molly Ringwald. I feel like that is a huge step for John Bender's character, and even though nothing is said, so much is spoken. And so let me know your thoughts about The Breakfast Club in the comments section below. And if you like this video, please smash that like button, hit that subscribe as well, and of course, please share it as you normally would as well. I hope to be able to put more movie reviews out, especially since films like Mank are set to come out tomorrow on streaming. And as I broke earlier today, there is a lot of films coming out on HBO Max. And again, I am a movie review channel, and so I will do the best I can to be able to watch those in a timely manner, get the reviews out there so that way you know whether you can watch them and enjoy them or be able to save yourself from wasting any bit of time. Please also, before I go, check out the new channel. I've been promoting it on Twitter. I've been promoting it in several videos, but seriously, it does need a little bit more love, and that is the OMB Report, and that is where I talk about news and politics. You can find a link to it in the description of this video. YouTube is totally just destroying any chance of the algorithm picking it up. I'm talking about stories that I know are getting a lot of attention on social media. I know are big topics, and almost always they're demonetized or they're limited in their ads, and I'm challenging them, and I'm winning most of them, not winning the others. But I know this system because this used to happen to me when I was a little bit more abrasive on my own channel, on this main channel, and how basically videos that typically would do well for some reason would not do nearly as well. So please go check that out, because I have a lot of plans for that channel to try and recreate, or rather to take back the culture, and to do so one news story at a time. But anyway, that's it for me. You all have a wonderful day, and as always, God bless. And now for a huge shout out to all of my December Patreon and Subscribe Star members, starting off with Patreon Albertus Magnus, Andrew Hoyle, Animation Commentator Brian P., Dion, Divex, Enrique Evangelista, Father Christopher Miller, hail to you, Father, Father Damian Cook, Garrett Searles, Harold Francis, The Hunky Chunky Funky Monkey, Inflamed Wood, It's a Trap Productions, Jason Clark, Jacob Juice, Jeffrey Toon, Jonathan Carney, Kenneth Camille, Laura Story, Mad Mitch Dunaway, Mike Jackson, Mr. Peabody and his evil twin with the beautiful hair, On to June, Orange Hat Reviews, Out of Step with Reality, Outpost Dyer, Riff Magos, Rosetta Allen, Steve Glasker, Miss Martin Muses, also known as Teresa Martin, Theodore Bendon, Tina Bogend, Tina B, and the Modern Major General, Laura Story. Gotta give you that shout out for that one time that you were doubled up. Thank you very much for being my Patreon members. And now a huge shout out to all of my December Subscribe Star members we have over there with Stand For, Perpetual Punster, Robert Revo, Mr. Roy, Glinzer, Darkstar 57, J. Alex McCarthy Jr., US 888209 Fast, Dean Heiss, J-Rod the Beer Guru, Nevadon G. Adams, and ZK Man. Thank you all so much for being my Patreon and Subscribe Star members. If you want your name shouted out at the end of every video and live stream on the main channel, please consider joining over on those platforms. You can also get access to things like exclusive giveaways of 4Ks, Blu-rays. If you want a DVD, I guess you could also get a DVD as well, digital codes, and of course, you get to possibly join me on the channel once a month for the Chosen of Valhalla live stream and access to an exclusive podcast featuring John the Flick Pick Flickinger, where we have a lot of fun talking about movies and tons of other random things. Anyway, if you want to support these things, check out the links in the description of this video. And also, please consider joining my other channel, the OMB Report, where I talk about not just movies like I do over here, but I focus more so on politics, news, and culture in that order. You guys are all amazing. Thank you for your love and support. Have a wonderful day. And as always, God bless.